From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Tuesday, September the 24th, 2024. The IDF began a second wave of airstrikes against terror group Hezbollah in Lebanon this morning. This amid ongoing rocket and drone attacks from Lebanon at northern Israel and at the Haifa area. The IDF said today, as part of the attacks, buildings where weapons, launchers, and other military infrastructure were stored were destroyed. As noted in our newscast yesterday, the IDF had shared that such weapons were placed by the terror group in civilian homes along the Lebanese border, aimed directly at Israel. The residents of those homes have been told by the IDF to evacuate for their safety. The IDF also said once again today, under the precise intelligence guidance of Israel's intelligence division, conducted a targeted strike in Beirut, successfully eliminating the commander of the missile and rocket array of Hezbollah. The IDF said he commanded the various missile units of Hezbollah, including the precision missile units, and that over the years he was responsible for the launches towards the Israeli home front, and that he was responsible for the planning and execution of many terrorist plots against the IDF forces and the citizens of the State of Israel, including the kidnapping attack in Mount Dov in 2000, in which 3 Israeli soldiers were kidnapped and murdered. Over 270 rockets were fired at Israel today as of the time of the taping of this newscast, including at various parts of the Galilee, the Golan Heights, the cities of Tzfat, Haifa, and surrounding areas, and the Jezreel Valley. The Times of Israel said that an IDF reservist was moderately injured by shrapnel during a rocket barrage at the Mount Carmel area south of Haifa, and that east of Haifa, a 58-year-old woman was lightly wounded by shrapnel. And a family in Rosh Pina in the Upper Galilee was saved by going into their safe room as sirens sounded in the area and a Hezbollah rocket directly hit their home. Israel's President Isaac Herzog addressed the situation with Lebanon yesterday, saying, "I repeat and reiterate, Israel does not seek war, but we have the right and the duty to defend our people." Herzog sharing video that we showed you yesterday of how Hezbollah stores and launches missiles in civilian areas and homes. Herzog saying thousands and thousands of long-range rockets are kept in houses, living rooms, bedrooms, and kitchens, and then launched with the sole intention of killing our people. Herzog asking, would you accept this in your or your neighbor's home? What nation would accept its citizens living under such a threat from its neighbors? U.S. President Joe Biden addressed the situation with Lebanon as he spoke to the United Nations General Assembly today, his last time in office to address the UNGA, noting Hezbollah's launching of rockets at Israel beginning on October the 8th of last year.
Hezbollah, unprovoked, during the October 7th attack, launching rockets into Israel. Almost a year later, too many on each side of the Israeli-Lebanon border remain displaced. A full-scale war is not in anyone's interest. Even if the situation has escalated, a diplomatic solution is still possible.
Biden spoke further of the Hamas massacre of October the 7th and the battle against Hamas in Gaza.
Any country would have the right and responsibility to ensure that such an attack can never happen again. Thousands of armed Hamas terrorists invaded a sovereign state, slaughtering and massacring more than 1,200 people, including 46 Americans, in their homes and at a music festival. Despicable acts of sexual violence, 250 innocents taken hostage. I've met with the families of those hostages. I've grieved with them. They're going through hell.
Biden said civilians in Gaza are also going through hell, saying they didn't ask for this war. that Hamas started. The president said he put forward, together with partners Egypt and Qatar, a ceasefire hostage release deal and urged that deal to be taken across the finish line.
Now is the time for the parties to finalize its terms, bring the hostages home, and secure security for Israel and Gaza free of Hamas' grip, ease the suffering in Gaza, and end this war.
A number of Jewish organization leaders and representatives are also at the UNGA this week to call attention to critical issues for Israel and the Jewish people, including from the Anti-Defamation League, who wrote that it is meeting with heads of state, government, and foreign ministers from dozens of countries to raise crucial issues, including anti-Semitism in a post-October 7th world, the threat of the Iranian regime, and bringing home the remaining hostages held by Hamas. The hostages held by Hamas in Gaza have now been captive for 354 days. The FBI released detailed data yesterday on over 14 million criminal offenses for 2023, including a surge in hate crimes over the last year, with a 63% increase in single-bias anti-Jewish hate crime incidents. President and CEO of the Jewish Federations of North America, Eric Fingerhut, said the data released by the FBI makes it clear that anti-Semitism has reached a level of epidemic proportions, saying Jewish communities cannot flourish if Jews don't feel safe and supported. CEO of the ADL, Jonathan Greenblatt, said at a time when the Jewish community is still suffering from the sharp rise in anti-Semitism following Hamas's October 7th massacre in Israel, the record high number of anti-Jewish hate crime incidents is unfortunately entirely consistent with the Jewish community's experience and ADL's tracking. The ADL released its 2023-2024 annual report on anti-Israel activism on U.S. campuses last week, which tallied 2,087 anti-Israel incidents between June the 1st of last year and May the 31st of this year, showing it wrote a 477% increase in protests, harassment, vandalism, assault, and BDS resolutions last school year, much of which it noted happened after the Hamas-led terror attacks on Israel on October the 7th, noting these numbers mark the highest number ever documented by the ADL. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Tuesday, September the 24th. At 7 o'clock, ISGAP leaders Charles Asher Small and David Harris are joined by former Knesset member and Israel's special envoy for combating anti-Semitism, Michal Cotler-Wunsh. At 8 o'clock, Justin Pines is joined by indie folk pop trio Distant Cousins to discuss the evolution of Jewish music since October the 7th, as well as touring with Matisyahu and more. At 9, Rabbis Wohlberg, Rachel Ain, and Steve Gutow discuss the high holidays on L'chaim. At 10, it's Hebrew for the high holidays. That is followed by a replay of the news, and coming up next, it's the ILTV's Insider. And that's the JBS News Update for Tuesday, September the 24th, 2024. I'm Teisha Bader. Am Yisrael Chai.